everybody, and welcome to my video today. We are going to wrap up my summer mini album. So I pulled out my bin for all of my summer stuff. This is something that I really feel like is essential to my workflow, is being able to contain different projects. And I did this with my week in the life album, and then I did it with my summer mini album. And this just helps me to keep everything in one place, and then I can pull things out when I want to work on them. So because I know that I want to wrap this up, I'm going to pull everything out, and I'm actually going to put away a lot of stuff. I'm only going to keep out what I need for the last few pages of this album. So I'm going to go through the paper and just see if there's anything that I want to pull out. And then we're going to set up a few of the last pages, and then we're going to put everything together. This is a rather long video. I worked on this over several days. Unfortunately, we have had the summer heat come in, the summer heat that we usually have in like June and July. It didn't happen in those months. It decided to all happen in August. And then we've also had fires that have broke out. We had one really big one real close to us. And then we also had all the lightning that happened that started fires. There was one day where there were 7 different fires around me, like within miles of me. And so I have not been down here in my office a lot in August. I'm hoping in September it will be a little bit better. But because of that, I worked on this over several days. And so I knew that the first thing to do was to decide what paper I wanted to use, and then get everything put away that I was not going to use. And that helped me narrow everything down and then get things completed. So I worked on putting some of the pages together, and then the next thing I worked on was printing photos and journaling. And then the next piece I worked on was actually putting it together. And that is my batch process method. And it's very helpful to actually get things done. I'm really impressed with myself that I finished this summer mini album, because this was definitely a whim. I saw somebody else do this on YouTube, and I thought it was so cute, and I just decided to do one, which summer is not typically something that I would be excited to document. It just worked out really great. This summer, we had a really mild summer, like I said, until just the last few weeks. And so it was fun to work on, and I'm really glad that I finished it, because I have a really bad habit of starting projects and then not finishing them, or it taking a really long time to finish them. Part of it is being a part of Stampin' Up! For as many years as I was. I realize now, looking back, that there was a space for me where I was rushing to get new things out, to get classes out, to get projects out, to get paper parties out, to share the next product, to get the next order in, to share the next thing. And I would rush through projects, and oftentimes I would feel like I don't have time for this. Like, I have to do the next thing. And now this year, I've really, it's been a full year since I've not been with Stampin' Up! And definitely my crafting style and desires have changed so much. And I just feel like I'm returning to actually being a crafter and wanting to be in this space of not rushing to finish things and letting things, take as long as they need to. Now, of course, as we are getting out of summer, I wanted to finish this album up, and I didn't want it lingering around. So I feel like that it was worth taking the time to do it, but I'm definitely glad that it's wrapped up, and it was so fun to put up on my shelf as a finished project. I may do this next year. I may do another summer mini album. It will just depend on how I'm feeling next summer, for sure. But I really loved the idea of just doing this little mini album for this, much like, 30 Days of Thankful, or October daily or December daily, you know, just like those. This one was fun. So after I picked out the product that I was going to use, let me just show you where this is at. For the most part, all of this is finished. I have some journaling that will need to go on that second page. I'm fixing my mat. Sorry. It drives me bonkers when that is crooked in the frame. I also had a piece of my camera equipment that mounts my camera. It broke. It just, the threads on the screw got loose, and so my camera is, it slowly tilts and falls. I have to get a new piece for it. Currently it's being held up with duct tape. So I'll get that and then that will be fixed. So I have a little bit of journaling in that square right there that I will need to do. I think I just hand wrote that journaling. But here are the pages. I'm going to put a chipboard piece right in the middle of that lake photo. I loved including that large lake photo, and what I did for that is I printed it at 8x10 and then I just cut it down to this size. So this isn't quite 6x8. These pages aren't quite 6x8, and in order to just be able to get the photo really quickly and not have to wait to send it out, you know, upload it, purchase it, send it out, wait for the shipping, I just uploaded it to Walmart, which is where I have my photos printed, and I did it at 8x10, and then I trimmed it down. Now, the very last thing that I have to do is that pocket card. The journaling I will take care of in this video, but at the very end, I noticed that I forgot to do that listening card, and what I wanted to do was do a screenshot of my recent playlists for the summer, and then do a little bit of journaling with that. So you will end up seeing that. I'm going to jump into just explaining what I'm doing, not in a voiceover, and then I will do another voiceover towards the end when I start putting things together. But I will walk you through a few of the things that I'm going to do in real time here, and then we'll jump back in and finish it up when I get my photos printed. All right, so what I'm going to do to wrap this album up, I went through and I did any detail work, like adding my stitch lines. I do need to add journaling for this, but I want to do my journaling at the very end because I want to do it all together. I've been really horrible lately about using my sticker paper and printing like one thing out, and then I end up with a bunch of random pieces that it's harder to use. So because I want to wrap this album up, I figured I would do all my journaling at the very end. So I did all of the detail work that I need to do. I added this, I think you saw that. And then here I need to grab a photo and then do some journaling, and then that will be complete. And then I got to this. So I added this photo and this piece of chipboard, and then I'm going to do the journaling directly on here, which will be perfect. And then we have this page. And then this is where I had ended. So what I went through and did is I wanted to do this album from the first week of June, which is the last week of school, to like our second week of August when school starts. And that will be our mini album. So I went through and I looked through my photos and tried to decide which ones I wanted to go ahead and feature in here. So a lot of times will use photos in multiple places, and I'm totally fine with that. This particular album is a mix of like regular type photos that I've printed out like on like photo paper, and then a mix of pictures that I've printed out on just like label sticker paper, and so the quality is not that great. And again, because I document in so many different places, I'm really not worried about the quality of the photos in this album. For all I care, next year it could go in the fireplace and I really wouldn't care. The whole point of me doing projects like this is because it's for me. I love doing it. I love using my product. I have all my photos backed up everywhere. I use them in multiple beautiful places, and I'm just really never worried about, I just don't tend to get caught up on those types of things. It is what it is. It's all going to end up ashes one day, right? Like, I'm not worried about the longevity of things. I know that is probably a bit of a different perspective for a memory keeper, but I just am not worried about it. So what I did is I went through with the photos that I thought I could feature in here. So this page here, what I'm going to do is I am going to document 3 different things, like food things that we did over the summer. One will be a picture of In-N-Out, one will be of corn, and one will be of Starbucks drinks. And I'm gonna put those here. I'll size them for these spaces, and then I'll do the journaling in the opposite spaces, and then that will fill this page. So the next page that I want to do is Kayla's senior parking spot. And what I think that I will do is use this one here. Oh, which will be perfect. So I'll use this page layout here. And I really will only, maybe I'll do a collage photo for this, and then on the back side I'm gonna do some flower photos, which I will do much like I just did this in my Scrappy Spiral notebook for my members. I did a page like this and I did sunsets, and then I'm thinking this might give me a good opportunity to stamp right here. Something fun, so that might work out. So this will be flowers. The next one I want to do is I want to document, maybe it could be movies, like what we're watching. I wanted to document Happy Gilmore 2 that came out on Netflix. We watched that. Maybe I'll do that on here. Maybe what we're watching like could be there. And then, so this then could work out because I want to do one affair. And then I want to end with back to school. I was going to try to do something like fun. Like one of the layouts that are like a bit more creative. This one might work. And then I think maybe I'll just cover that. And then I wonder if there's anything else in here or here that I would like to use. So maybe I could do this one at the end. And maybe this would be fun to do like the details of the end of our summer. And that I could just handwrite. So yeah, I think maybe I'll do that. That would be a really fun way to end it. And then maybe this one could go here, and then this could go on the back of it, maybe, because this has like watching. Just do watching, like remembering summer, and I think in here I have a binge watch, so maybe that could go there. So I could totally do that. Okay, so I'll use that. I think maybe that's what I'll do. So this will be food. This will be Kayla's senior parking place. This will be flowers. This will be binge watching or like our summer picks. So I just continue to go through and pick the pages that I need for the rest of the layouts I'm going to do. Originally, I thought that I might try to cut part of this up. This was for our fair, and I thought I might try to use something in it. I decided not to do that and to just use that in my Project Life album, and then not try to make that fit. It just wasn't going to fit. But then once I pick out my layouts that I'm going to use, the, you know, boxes I'm going to use, then I will do a little bit of pre-decorating before then I jump in to the actual documenting, which is what we'll do next. Today I am wrapping up my summer mini album. This actually has been, like, I've had all the photos and everything, I just haven't put it together. The other thing is that you might have seen, I might have footage of putting the, like, what I did is I wanted to put all of my stuff up for my album, like all the paper. This is all that I have left out. It's a couple of the cards, the embellishments, and then the sticker sheets. And so what I did, and I might have footage of this, if I do, I'll stick it in here now. But I just went ahead and planned out my pages of what I was going to do. And then I put everything together and used the paper that I wanted to use. And then when I came back, I printed photos and journaling. So what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna put you on voiceover. I'm gonna speed this footage up, and we are going to put together these last few days in here of my mini album, so that I can wrap that up. And then I want to be able to dive back into Project Life Weekly and get my family album caught up. I got all of my product from Ali Edwards, and so I want to get my personal album caught up. So I want to dive back into those projects. So the first thing is to get all of this in here. If you're new to my channel and you're just first seeing like a mini album like this, where I'm using the scrappy spiral notebook inserts, or like if you see me do my scrappy spiral notebook, I will oftentimes print my photos on sticker paper. This is really thin label sticker paper. And I got this tip from another YouTuber who uses that in these type of albums where it's like a ring or a spiral. So it's really thin. They're not the best quality. Like, I don't really care if the quality is perfect. It's a mini album. I don't want to print these out or get them printed. It's too expensive. And so doing it this way works out perfect. So let's get onto the voiceover portion, and let's get this album wrapped up. So let's dive into the actual creative part of this. I'm so sorry for repeating myself a few times throughout this video. I actually did an introduction in 3 different places, and that's just what happens when my filming is so chopped up and I'm just trying to be down here and filming when I'm, you know, putting things together. So I do apologize for repeating myself a few times. And so now what I'm going to do is I've printed everything out, my journaling, my photos, and I'm going to go ahead and put those in the spots where they're going to be. And then I'm going to start trimming things down and putting them onto the pages. I put all of my I printed all of my photos together at one time, and then I printed all of my journaling together at one time. Typically, I don't really worry about like how I'm printing my journaling like with like sticker paper, but recently, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I've been really bad recently about just using a full sheet of sticker paper, and that happens when I'm just in a rush. And if I feel like I don't have a lot of time to figure things out, then I just go for convenience, which then sometimes makes me waste sticker paper. Now, I don't necessarily waste it because I keep every scrap, unless it's really, really tiny. But I will use it. I'll go back and I will tape it to printer paper and run it through my printer, or I will use it to stamp. I do use it, but I just recognize that I definitely need to be a little bit better about planning out my journaling and doing it all at once. So what I decided to do with this page is put all of the photos on one side. These boxes on this side of the page are a little bit bigger than the boxes on the other side because of where the holes have to be for this mini album. And so I decided to do the photos all on one side and then the journaling all on one side so that the photos would not be in different sizes. First, it was just easier when I was sizing the photos and printing them for them all to just be one size. And then the second thing was it looks better. So the problem with my journaling is, and this happened with 2 of these sets of journaling pieces, I did not size them correctly. So you can see here, my journaling is larger than the box. So how I'm going to fix that is I'm going to use this piece of vellum and I'm going to trim it down. This actually ended up working really well. I'm going to trim it down and then I'm going to just make it the entire length of those boxes. And then I'll put my journaling in the middle of it, and then it will look a little bit better. Now, I should have whited out the "this is good," that little sentiment. I think I end up going back and peeling up the vellum a little bit and whiting it out because it bothers me, but I really should have whited it out to begin with. I thought it wouldn't bother me. Now, of course, the middle part is covered up because of the journaling. And by the time you layer the sticker paper on there, it ends up being fine. But I should have whited that out. Now, the other thing I was going to do is cut my journaling apart. And then, because I talked about in my journaling each of the different things. But because of the way I did my journaling, it was all together. It was like all smashed up together. And so I couldn't cut it apart and put each piece of journaling with each of the items, just because there was no way to really cut it. There was no way to really cut it up. And then, yeah, see, so I end up putting white out, which the white out is obviously brighter than the actual, because the page is like a gray. But because it's under that vellum, it ends up working out just fine. Again, the journaling that I will put, this piece right here, will go over that middle piece. And between the sticker paper and the journaling and the vellum, that middle piece, it doesn't really, you can't really see it. Then I will add these circles. I'll end up coming back and trimming them down. So what I'm going to do is cut the very bottom, and then I was going to layer them above the photos. I'll end up coming back and rearranging these, and I will end up putting a sticker that has the bottom cut off. So it's like a half circle. I'll put a half circle on each one of the photos. I really loved bringing this blue in because Kayla's drink that she tried was blue. I know it's a little hard to see that sticker is blue, but I will rearrange all of those. And there will just be a half sticker on each of the photos. The stickers peeled up really easily, so that was really nice. I didn't have much of an issue there, but I'll just rearrange a few of the stickers I'll rearrange on here. Even that favorite one I end up moving over. At the very bottom of the page, you can see a word phrase sticker on the striped piece of pattern paper, and so that will end up, I'll move the favorites over so that it's working with the edge of the page and it will look a little bit better. So sometimes I will go back and rearrange things. You know, I heard a saying recently that said, you know, you just have to bring it into existence. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like, you can make it perfect later. And they were talking about a different area of life. but it applies here with your memory keeping. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just bring it into existence. Just set up your album. Just set up the mini album. Just print your photos. Whatever it is, just bring it into existence, and then you can fuss with it later. So I did a collage here of Kayla's her senior parking place, and there was a couple photos of them working on it, painting it, and then the photo that I have that is like the final photo is actually not the final photo. We didn't get a final photo, so there's much more detail to it, but that was the closest we got to the final one. And then here's another space where I did not do my journaling properly. I think this one was because I decided to add her senior photos to this, and these are just the screenshots of her photos, so they're very, very pixelated. They are not great quality, but I just thought it would be fun to include all the different shots. Senior year is pretty expensive. Like, nobody warned you that like you're going to have to take out a major loan to do anything when it comes to the senior anything. Her senior pictures, and I am like horrified to even say this, for one pose is $499, and that is for one 8x10 and one, I think it's like 3 by or 5x7. I don't even think it's a 5x7. I think it's an odd size. $499. Like, I went to order them. I was like, oh, I'll take care of that. It was on my to-do list for last week. And I was like, okay, I'll go in, like, figure it out. I was thinking like, oh, we'll spend a couple $100s. I'm sure it'll be expensive. I was not expecting it to be that expensive. I don't even know. Like, and this is the beginning of her senior year. Like, there's so much more to come. Like, I don't know. It's crazy. So anyways, I just did the screenshots of the photos. So they're very, very pixelated. And I knew like those aren't photos we're printing to do anything with. I just thought it would be fun to do them in this album. She did her pictures at the very end of July. So then these are photos. They're actually flower photos from our local fair. If you've been around a while, you know that I adore the town we live in. I always say we live in our very own Stars Hollow from Gilmore Girls. And our county fair that happens at the end of July every year is always amazing. And we went and walked through all of the floral, Violet and I did. We walked through all of the floral entries, and I took some photos, and they were all really beautiful. I thought this was a great way to display them, and then my journaling fit perfect. I did a good job with the journaling there. And then when Esau, my husband, when he had seen all of these and the succulents and everything, he wants to enter one of his from our yard next year, which I thought was fun. So I'm just going to add a few pieces of chipboard on here. I'm pretty sure that I add these memories chipboard. I loved that summer vibe die cut piece, and I really wish that I would have had a space for this. I guess it technically probably would have fit right there, and I could have just trimmed it off. Sometimes when I'm editing, not when I'm filming, but when I'm editing and I look back at the things that I choose to do or I don't choose to do, I'm always like, well, that would have looked fine. Or why didn't I do that? And that this is one of those moments. I think that summer vibe would have looked great, and it would have pulled in the orange of that flower. So I'm going to grab some of the sticker sheets and just look through what I have, and then I'm going to add these floral pieces. They are much more like Hawaiian or tropical flowers. They're not so much like everyday flowers, but they work. They bring in some color, and they fill up that space. And then here is the insert that I'm going to use to do all of our movies or shows that we're watching. And basically, since there were 5 spots there, what I did is I journaled about what each of us what we were watching over the summer. And for the most part, we're all pretty different with what we watch. On the back side, I'm going to put this Happy Gilmore little graphic. It was fun to see that so many people watched. We watched it the day that it released. Now, I think this is a generational thing for, I'm in my mid 40s, and this movie is a movie that was out, when I was in my 20s. We love the original movie. It's one of the only Adam Sandler movies I really like. My husband is a huge fan of Adam Sandler, but I'm not a huge fan of his humor. I mean, it's a lot of boy humor, and it's just not my thing. But Happy Gilmore and 50 First Dates are my favorite Adam Sandler movies. And I don't know, it was just so nostalgic, I guess, watching the movie. It was much better than I thought it was going to be. And we had a really good laugh, and it was just really fun to watch. And so I wanted to include that. And then on this front side, what I'm doing is just, I have journaling about what each of us, like what we're each watching. And I have to say that I sized my journaling perfect for these boxes. I don't always get my journaling sized perfect, but when I do, and when I nail it, I'm always so excited, and this was perfect. So I think I did my husband at the very top, and then I did me, and then Kayla, Violet, and Andrew. And I just did like what we're watching in the summertime. Violet is watching a lot of Doc McStuffins and Sophia the First, even though she's a sophomore in high school. And she is going to be 16 in November. She is about 3 years emotionally delayed. And so she's still much like a 12-year-old or 13-year-old. And so that is definitely reflective in what she watches. And I like looking back at these things and seeing those kinds of details. I think it is a detail of our life that shows up that is important to see. And then, of course, I always do a lot of YouTube and those kinds of things. Andrew has been into anything country recently, and one of his favorite movies right now that he's watching is 8 Seconds. He's like watching that on repeat, which is funny. It's a movie I watched when I was a teenager on repeat. So, and he loves Footloose and like those kinds, he's definitely my kid. And then Kayla does a lot of YouTube. She does a lot of gaming right now with her friends. A lot of her friends have graduated and are doing college or in, college classes. And it's funny, they still, like, last Saturday, they all had a plan to meet up. And some of them are in different states now, and so they all had a plan to meet up and do gaming, and it was kind of fun to see them, hanging out all together. It kind of made me sad that they weren't all in person together, but so those are the things that I documented. And then the next page that I'm doing is the fair pages. Now, in a different world, in another time, it would have really bothered me that these photos were not right by the photos of the flowers. But I've let some of that go, and there's a page in here that is really out of order in the way that it happened in summer, and I just let it go. And I'm just like, I want to document it. This is where it fits. I'm just going to let go of wanting everything to be perfect, and I'm just going to go with the excitement and the enjoyment of putting pages together. So the photos I picked for this was one of Violet with an entry that she did. She got second place on a coloring page, a mixed media page that she did. She worked on that so hard at the end of the school year last year, and then she entered it. And then one of Isa and I really love this photo. The shadows of the fence are on our face. We were actually at the rodeo, and I just love the way that the photo turned out. It was just one of those photos that I just think are fun. And then, of course, one of the Ferris wheel and the flowers on the midway. Our county fair is in the top 10. I think it's actually in the top 5 of California's small county fairs. And I just love that for our little town. And so I always get the Midway. It's a big feature in a lot of articles, and it's a favorite to get those photos. And then my journaling, I did really great with this journaling again. It fit really well. And then I will come back and I will add something to the middle there. And then I always run my bone folder over the journaling, because that is going to make that sticker paper stick right to the paper, and then it will look seamless. You will not even be able to tell that it is sticker paper. It just looks like you printed right on the project. So this is the page that is a little bit out of order. This is a bowling trip that we did, and we actually did this in early July, and it's towards the back of this album. And I picked a photo of the scoreboard because Kayla's boyfriend calls us, he calls me Mama Kayla, and he calls Esau Papa Kayla. And it was like a funny thing that happened when they first started dating, and he was like, I don't really know what to call you. And so that's what he started calling us. And so the scoreboard for the bowling, it said Papa Kayla. I forgot a pair of socks, and so I couldn't play that day. And so it was just them. I just hung out with them and, you know, chatted and helped Violet, and it was fine. But I wanted a picture of the scoreboard because that's how he put it in the in the scoreboard. So this is how the back page came out. I just took that detailed page and I went ahead and glued it down to the back of this page, and then I hand wrote details, and then I added a bunch of these stickers to the back. And then this page here is the first day of school. Now you will notice there is 2 of Violet and 2 of Kayla. I printed that photo twice on accident. I don't know how I missed it, since it was on like in a Word document. I don't know how I ended up accidentally having it in 2 places. But these are just photos of the kids in front of the door, as I always get. It's so fun now that we have so many of these. I mean, like, I don't know, 12 years of photos of the kids in front of the door. And Kayla, it was funny because her and I had gone to senior sunrise very early that morning. So we had left the house before 5 that morning, and we went to senior sunrise. And so I didn't get her photo in that morning, because then I came home and I got the other kids' photos, and she was already at school. And so when she got home that day, I had got a photo of her at senior sunrise, and I just figured like that will be her back to school photo. But when she came home, she was like, we have to get the photo on the front porch. And you'll notice the lighting and the shadows are different for her, but she was like, we need the photo in the front door, in front of the front door. So now this is how the album looks. I will have photos on my website, so there'll be a blog post. I will link that blog post in the YouTube description below. I do not have the journaling for that slot that says 1, 2, 3. I forgot to do that, and you'll see in the photos that I forgot to do that. And so, but I will have photos on my website if you want to go and see the photos. I know I'm flipping through this really quickly. So here is where I go back and I adjust those stickers. Now, in hindsight, I wish I would have put the blue knot on the blue photo where Kayla's drink was. And maybe I changed that around. No, I just changed the positioning. But I wish I would have put the blue on one of the different ones. And then I try this out here. Sometimes it's just trial and error, right, of looking to see. And then I will end up putting that there. That works out great because of the word phrase sticker below. And then I definitely, on these other pages, I need to go back and add my dash lines. Now, when I'm in a hurry and I'm doing the dash lines, they get messy. If I'm taking my time and doing them a little bit nicer, they're not as messy, but you'll see probably in the photos that I take for the blog post that there's some of these spots where they got real messy because this was literally one of the last things I was doing. and I just was wanting to get it done. Also, the journaling for this part, I don't remember what I did for the journaling on Kayla's senior spot. I love that emoji. I really want to find a way to use those rubber emoji pieces. They're so cute, and I love emojis. Maybe I should just like display them somewhere in my craft room or something. I added this. I put making it happen because it was a chore to get the things done for her senior parking place. I don't know, we just hit a lot of snags, and it ended up being an all summer project instead of just like a quick project that we thought it would be. It was quite the ordeal. So I think I just put summer movies or summer watching list is what I put on the tab there, and that was just a sticker tab that I used. And then I did the dash lines on that. And then, I had left out these enamel dots and these jewels. I have a ton of these, again, from my time in Stampin' Up. This was one of the biggest purchases that I would make. I would get them for customer gifts or team gifts. And I just have a ton of them laying around. And so I had left some of these out, and then I sprinkled these. I loved the way this came out. I did the purple and the yellow, and then I just rotated each side. So one box has purple and the next box has yellow, and then so on. And I just did a cluster of 3, and I really love the way that came out. It was perfect. So I did leave the bottom part of the below the Happy Gilmore I might do some journaling on that. I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm done with this, and even though there's a couple places that need or could use a little bit of journaling, the only one that I really might go back and do is the one that is the card that has the 1, 2, 3, just because it's a huge amount of space. I might do that. And then I add some pattern paper to this, and then I add this card right here, and it coordinates with the other side because I have that heart paper. And then I will just hand write a few details on the strips right there, the white strips. I end up just hand writing a few things, and then I'll put the enamel dots right here. I will put in the corners. So this was fun. Instead of doing them in little clusters, I just did them like they were holding the paper together. And then I did them in blue to coordinate. And then, like I said, I will hand write a few of these things. And I think it's just a few details about Fair. I did the journaling about Fair, and so that is up there in that corner. But I think I just added a few things that maybe weren't in the journaling. Like I did rodeo fun. I did like the flavors of our ices. Mine was root beer and Violet's was blue raspberry. And then, just a few other things you can see there. And that also gave the element, a little bit of an element of handwriting in this. A lot of the journaling is done in it, like I typed it out. And so that just adds another little piece to it. And then I'll need to do the journaling on this circle sticker. Now the circle sticker has ice cream cones on it and we're bowling. But, that is a page that I had set up. I think I had planned to use it for different photos. And then at the last minute, I swapped out these bowling photos. So the journaling card doesn't necessarily go with what we were doing, but that's totally fine. And again, I just did the hand journaling on that spot. And that worked. I'm using 2 different pens for my hand journaling. I'm using fine liners, and one is a 0.01, so it's super, super thin. It's actually that's my favorite pen to do hand journaling with, is that super thin, fine one. And then the other one I was using for my dash lines is a thicker 0.4, so it is much thicker. And again, that just adds a couple different elements to your project. So I hope you enjoyed seeing my mini summer album. Again, I will have a blog post up with photos of this that you can check out. The link will be below. I will probably add ribbon to the rings, and then that will finish that up. And I love the way it came out. So here on the screen are 2 other videos you can check out. Please give this video a like. It really helps YouTube to be nice to my videos, and I appreciate when YouTube is nice to me. I will be back hopefully at the end of the week with Kayla's album, and I will catch you in my next video.